Back to Talk Back for Teens once again. I am Jordan A. Smith, your host for today, and I am here with
Dean Lawrence
and
Emerald Wilcox.
And these guys are from Teen Empowerment. I don't know if you heard about it, but I'm sure they can tell us a little something about it.
Well, Teen Empowerment is an organization that tries to hire between 12 and 14 youth every year to discuss community happenings, and we set community events up for the youth so that they can reach out to a lot of younger people in our community, and we discuss the problems and the issues that youth face.
Teen Empowerment is a lot about like Talk Back for Teens. It's about giving teens a voice. Like she said, we do community events. We step out and we try to push not stop the violence. We try to push voting for. We try to push.
Voting.
We try to promote positive things for the youth and to encourage youth to speak up, to stand up, and give them a voice.
Voting. Our topic for today is politics. We are all about politics for this episode. So I know even if you're not into politics, you heard a little bit about it. The Obama, the Romney, law school versus business school, whatever, Honolulu or Detroit. They're like completely divided. We have a Democrat and we have a Republican. Do you guys have any views on that? Or first, are you guys voting this year?
I am voting this year, yes.
You're voting?
I am definitely voting.
And do you know who you're voting for? Do you have it in mind?
I already have it in mind that, I don't have to tell it?
You don't have to tell us, but do you have it in mind?
Oh, I definitely have it in mind who I'm going to vote for, and my reasons why.
So what are your reasons why?
Well, then I would have to tell you who I want to vote for.
No, tell us some reasons. I want to know. What policies are you into right now?
Right now, I'm into the policy for healthcare for all citizens.
That's what I want to hear.
The reason why is because my mother is a sickly woman, and honestly, if her ability to get the proper medical care that she needs was taken away, then I would be kind of hurt. And also, it's a lot of people out there who die of illnesses because they're afraid to go to the hospital, afraid to get medical attention because they don't have the income to pay for those things. So I am very behind healthcare, and yeah, that's my main reason.
Do you have any reasons for voting?
I'm voting because I believe that it's a privilege and it's my right as a citizen to be able to vote. Honestly, this year I haven't looked into the candidates. I know about the policies I would want to vote for, but I haven't looked into the candidates to know what their position or their stances are on the different policies. I think it's very important that especially African Americans participate. They put in their vote because we are a minority, and so if we're going to have any influence, specifically on the policies that do affect us as a people, we're going to have to come together and we're going to have to vote.
Yeah, I think that's true for all, not just African Americans, all minorities, all people who have the issues that are being addressed by the politicians. I find it very interesting that it's the Obama policy, the healthcare policy. I find it very interesting that he went so in detail with allowing teens to be on their parents' healthcare plan until, I believe, 26. Was it 26? I'm pretty sure it's 26. I love that idea. That's what made me get into politics, because when you're a teenager and you're just getting out of high school, you're going into college, you really don't have the time to be, figuring out. You have a lot to do already. You don't have the time to figure out what healthcare plan are you going to provide for yourself and things like that. And also what I realized with the divide between the two, Obama and Romney. Obama was a law major, and his main focus was law. And although Romney has a background in law, he's really a businessman, and a lot of his policies are for the financial problems in the U.S. Do you think any of the financial issues in the U.S. have directly affected you guys in any way? As far as like taxes and I guess gas prices, I mean,
well, I think I think financial problems definitely have a direct effect on, not just us, but, all Americans, even down at the, base level. Because when you talk about gas prices, everybody needs the car, everybody needs to drive around, you know what I mean? And even if you talk about people who don't have vehicles, who rely on public transportation, the public transportation will change their prices if, you know, the expenses go up, you know. And so if they, you know, if you talk about an increase in gas prices, you know, you're talking about more money coming out of the pockets of those who already don't have a lot to begin with, and that can cause, you know, more, you know, that can cause more problems. But I believe you got to be careful about, you know, how you go about managing the finances. If you want to say, you know, because I know there's a lot of talk about raising taxes for, you know, raising taxes, that's not going to help either. You know what I mean? If you raise taxes to keep other expenses down, we're still paying out more money to try to, you know, and it's just basically you're not helping either way. So there has to be some very real thoughtful approaches to how money is going to be raised. There has to be consideration on both ends, not just how the middle class or how the wealthy are doing, but what about the lower class? How are their finances going? And I think it's kind of difficult when you're in politics to really even be concerned about the lower class, because a lot of the times the lower classes don't vote as much as they should.
Indeed,
a
yes.
lot of times the lower class don't have the financial, they won't back you financially like the upper class will, and so you're trying to get elected, you're trying to get voted for, and so you're going to promote policies that are more attractive to those who will support you, who will be able to back you financially, and I think that's where a lot of the problems come in at.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, in a nutshell, he said most of the things that I would have said, but also in reference to finance, I was discussing this earlier, and I was talking about how it's harder for people in the lower class to make ends meet as it is, and like he was saying, if you raise the amount, you raise the taxes and you raise the prices on things, it's going to be harder for us, regardless of whether, even like if they raise minimum wage or something like that, it will still be harder because you're raising the taxes and you're raising the prices on a lot of things. Like prices are going up like crazy right now. Mm-hmm. And
I think it was a recent raise on the minimum wage, right?
Well, they're trying to raise it again.
Yeah.
So I've heard they're trying to raise it again. The current minimum wage still is $7.25, but I believe they are trying to raise it again. But also what I would say on top of the fact that the finances go up, I feel like a lot of the stuff that's going on right now, they're trying to gear towards a lot of people who actually have decent incomes in America. Mm-hmm. And right now, like he said, a lot of people who are of lower income families and lower income households or in lower income regions, they're not really inclined to vote. They don't really want to vote. They don't really wish to vote. They don't take it that serious because sometimes as an individual themselves, you feel like your vote might not even count. And I know that that's like very often a situation. I know that even hearing from people in the last two elections, like even hearing those things, I've heard people say, well, you know, it really doesn't matter because anyway, the person who I want to win is not going to win and stuff like that. I've gone through that, like even going through high school and listening to people say stuff like that. And people need to understand that it's very important. I feel like this is to me, because I haven't been on this earth as long as other people, but even listening to things about the other elections, I feel like this is going to be one of the most controversial and most crucial elections.
Why do you say it's crucial? Do you think it's a dire need for someone?
To me, I feel like this one, like this particular election, I feel like for people who are of lower income families, people who cannot, like people who do get government services, people mm-hmm. who get help, I feel like this is very important because I feel like by way of however this election does go, some of those rights that we have as college students, as like people in general trying to increase our income, increase our education, increase our skills, increase our trades, I feel like it's crucial because honestly, because of how this could probably go, mm-hmm. some of those rights will be taken away from us.
I will say this is the first time, I don't know if it's because I just turned 18 and I'm more into politics and I'm trying to really, know about the environment that I'm in. This is the first time I'm seeing the first year this stuff is really affecting us. Like, you could really see the change. But you touched on a couple of topics that I would like to go back to, voting. A lot of people don't vote because they say, well, I don't know if my vote will really make a difference and it doesn't seem like things are changing. And then they criticize a lot of the politicians or even the president, because when they get into office, all these promises they made, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, doesn't come to pass. And so I know that's a lot of people's biggest upset with Obama, is a lot of things that he promised is not yet coming to pass, but it's something that it appears he's working on it. But a lot of things that he said is not coming to pass. So what, I know you guys are voting, but do you see any other reasons why teens aren't voting, minorities aren't voting, people are not voting?
Can I just say something? Do you have something to say? Okay, I didn't want to just cut you off or anything like that. But in reference to things not coming to pass, one thing I would like a lot of people to understand is not to just solely blame that on the president, because there are a lot of people who have to cooperate with these situations in order for a lot of the things to come to pass for the people. And if they want to do that, they really can't just blame the president, because the president is not the only person who's passing these things. It's not like they bring up an issue or he brings forth the issue and it just goes to pass as though he were a king or an emperor or something like that.
Yeah, this is democracy, so it has to go through many different offices before, you know.
Exactly. So that is a big misconception that a lot of people do have, but you can't blame that solely on the president.
I hear what they're saying when they do the political campaigns and you see the advertisements on television, but, I'm really slow to believe when they say, oh yeah, I plan to do this and I plan to do that. What I try to listen for more is the policies, what they stand for, what they believe. If they're, if they believe in health care, for the elderly, or if they believe in, different policies, I listen for them. Do they want to raise taxes? Do they want to lower them? Not with the expectation, sadly, but not with an expectation for them to actually come forth with those, because like she was saying, it's not a what is it, a monarchy. They can't. It's not like they just lay down the law and whatever they say goes. It's other opinions and things like that, other people that they have to go through before the different laws can be passed. And so, I think it's good to look at the candidates for what they believe and what they stand for, and not get your hopes up on what they promise and what they say they will accomplish, because honestly, they can't know. And especially when you're talking about a candidate who hasn't been in office before, they won't really know what they can do until they're actually in that position.
Right.
As far as lower class people not willing to vote, I think it's a lot to do with the mindset, a lot to do with how educated we are on the different topics and on the different subjects. A lot of times people don't, really, it seems like there's other things that to do besides look at the political campaigns. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when you're lower class, you got a 40-hour-a-week job, and you probably have to come home and take care of your children, and there's a lot of other responsibilities, and it almost seems like paying attention to the campaigns is a little bit more taxing, and it's not as necessary. And so because you don't pay attention to it, it's not as important on your level as far as going out to vote. And because you're not aware of, I think we're not aware of the power we have as a people of going to vote. A lot of people say, oh yeah, my vote really not going to count. And if you look at it in the bigger scheme of things, one vote against all of the millions of voters in America, that one vote won't count. But if everybody takes the attitude, then nobody will vote.
Yeah.
And so I think if as individuals, if we put our vote forth, we can, like I was saying, we can come together and collectively our votes will make a difference versus us taking a negative stance where my vote won't count, and then you're just, and you're not doing anything. You know what I mean? I heard a saying, if you're not part of the problem, then you're part of the solution. And so I feel like if even in that place where your one individual vote won't count, you can't talk about how bad the president is doing or how you wish things were different if you're not going to put in a vote to make that change, to make that difference. We were talking to a lady from the Women's Voting Association or something along those lines.
Mike, where did you find her at? Did she come to your office, or?
We were actually put on a phone conversation with her. People at Teen Empowerment had connections with her, and they called her, and we were able to talk on the phone. And she was talking about how she's trying to influence, influence people to vote, encourage people to vote, and they do. They'll go and set up stands at like busy events and things like that and try to.
I would like to point on that. I was going to say it's becoming so convenient for, you said you mentioned the person with the 40-hour job and the multiple kids. It's becoming so convenient to become a registered voter. It's absolutely nothing to sign up. It's just like, a slip of paper. It's nothing to sign up, and they're everywhere. They're at the public market, they're at the mall, they're out there, and they want you guys to vote. It's no reason. I see no reason. If you're 18, it's no reason for you not to sign up. And so, I'm sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. It's good.
I also wanted to touch on the topic of the different policies. And so we are in a great position because these candidates can't be more different, it seems. Like they have some similar views, but a lot of them are so different. And the biggest thing right now is the whole gay marriage, same-sex marriage or whatever. And Obama is, he sees nothing wrong with it. And so he's for it, and Romney is against it. Do you guys have any views on that? Did that influence your vote in any way?
Well, it's the thing is, you look and it's kind of like you have 6 eggs in one basket and half a dozen in the other one. You're gonna, one of the candidates have a lot of the things that you like, and the other candidate has, other things that you like, and so you gotta in your own mind prioritize what is most important for. And we gotta not be so selfish. What's more important for the country, for your community at large,
Mm-hmm.
And so, where I might have personal opinions on one subject or another, would it be wise for me to not vote for him? Because it's only 2 candidates. Would it be wise for me not to vote for this one candidate and allow A, B, and C to happen that might negatively affect the rest of the country, for my own personal gain? Or should I go on and vote for him because it's going to benefit, my people or my country more, if you understand what I'm saying? And so I think, you're not going to have any candidate, and then you may, but, there's very rarely where there's a candidate that's going to meet everything that you stand for, everything that you would like to see happen. So I think you have to look, what is the most important things for my country? What is going to benefit, my community, my country most? And you have to go and vote for that candidate.
I don't, as you said, which I think is beautiful, it's about the good of America. And I like right now, I love it. A lot of people don't like to talk about it, but I love the fact that they're so different. And so, people can really pinpoint which issues they are for and which ones they are against and which ones they think will be better for us all as a community, as a country, as well with their positions in Iraq. Now, Romney is more for, he think it'll be less casualties if a lot of the soldiers stay in Iraq right now. I don't know. I read that. But Obama believes that I want to get the soldiers back. They're going to die, blah, blah, blah. Obama believes that we should bring our soldiers back home. Does that have any effect on you? And before you comment, I want to put out a point there. I want to make a statement that there are more casualties in Obama's presidency than Bush's or anyone before. There were more casualties as far as this war in Iraq. And it's crazy because, Obama talks so much about get our people out of Iraq. We're going to make a change. He talks so much about that, but there were more casualties between 2009, 10, and 11, I believe. So you guys have any opinions on that?
Well, as far as that goes, I understand that there were a lot of casualties, but overall, I do believe that those people should come back. I feel like the soldiers should be able to come back, and we should work on our own country. But in reference to a lot of the policies that are going on as far as what policies would make me want another person or not, I just want to go back to what you said about gay marriage as a policy. I want to say that honestly, in spite of personal opinions that people might have as an individual, overall, homosexuality is very prevalent in our American culture now. That's something that you can't deny. It's all over social media. And like personal opinions, honestly, I feel like no one is perfect. No one is in a position to truly judge someone else for whatever they're going to do. I'm not saying that I'm pro homosexuality. I'm not saying I'm against it. But what I'm saying is that I believe that love is love. You can't judge anybody because of what they love or who they love. And also, there's another policy that I would like to speak about, like pro-choice. That's been a big thing that's been going on. Like a lot of people that I've come in contact with, who I discussed this whole thing with, pro-choice comes up as a big issue.
Okay, for our viewers who don't know what pro-choice is, could you give us an explanation of that?
Well, pro-choice is the right to make your own decision as far as whether you would like to have an abortion or not.
Abortion, and we'll get back to that in our next clip. Thank you.
Are you ladies ready to order? Yeah, can I get the herpes special?
I'll get the chlamydia with the side of crabs.
Can I get the blue waffles instead? Blue waffles instead.
Can I have HIV? What does that come with?
Everything on the menu comes with unprotected sex. No one ever asks for an STD.
Get tested.
It's better to know than to find out too late.
Just know your status.
I'm Jordan A. Smith, and we are back for Talk Back for Teens, episode 17.0. And I just want to go and correct myself. I'm reading directly from my research at cnsnews.com. In more than 10 years, the U.S. military has been fighting in Afghanistan. Each of the 3 deadliest years were under Obama's presidency. So it wasn't in Iraq, number 1, and it was 3 years under Obama's presidency, which were the deadliest years in our war in Afghanistan. Also, I want to touch back with pro-choice. How do you feel about that? Because I know you were beginning.
Well, I don't want to really say per se about the candidates, but Obama basically, he's pro-choice, and he wanted it so that people would be able to get the same coverage with their medical insurance for if they wanted to make the decision to have an abortion. And, well, I'm not trying to be biased or trying to direct anybody, against Mitt Romney, because that's definitely not what I'm here to do. This is just one topic. This is
Your
not
opinion.
a million. This is my opinion. Don't mistake it. But Mitt Romney is not really for pro-choice.
Why do you see a need for pro-choice, might I ask?
The reason why I see a need for pro-choice, it's not that I support people having abortions. It's not that I support the killing of a child. The thing about pro-choice, though, is I feel like everybody should have a right. There are a lot of situations which are the reasons why people get put into predicaments where they are presented with the choice of whether they want to go through with having an abortion or not. And though sometimes it's not as great as others, there are other reasons why people really do want to do that. There are a whole lot of crimes that go on that lead to that. And personally, I believe that overall, that somebody who wants to have an abortion should have the opportunity to make that decision on their own.
Do you have any thoughts on that, Dean?
I try to be very careful when I'm touching with the subject, because I know it's a lot of sensitive subject for very many people. There are people who have been impregnated under, because they were forced to, engage in those kind of activities, and there were, there's a host of different situations under which that happens. But notwithstanding, me personally, I do not support. In my eyes, I see it as the killing of a child. And I figure if you can find a way to justify that, if you can find a way to justify that, then go ahead. But I don't believe that American taxes should have to pay for your personal decision to do that. And so, I don't believe, so you're talking about illegalizing it or anything like that, that's none of my business. But when you want to put that forth and put it into, you know, taxpayer dollars, saying that, you know, my money is going to have to cover your choice to do that, I think that's a different issue. But you know, once again, you have to look at the candidates, all of their beliefs, and what's best for the country.
So correct me if I'm wrong. You don't have anything against abortion as long as it doesn't come out of tax dollars.
Honestly, it's not. That's not it. My stance is against abortion, but I believe you're taking it to another level. You know, I believe you're taking it to another level when you're trying to include, you know, taxpayer dollars into that. You know, there are people who get abortions for, you know, their reasons about, you know, they may have been raped or something like that. But there are also people who engage in sexual activities, you know, without protection, which is not the smartest thing to do if you don't want to have a child, and then go to get an abortion, which, you know, I think that's not why am I paying for that? You know, as me personally, I don't agree with it. I think it's an ethical issue as well as, you know, an issue with the law. I think it's wrong. But on top of that, I don't want to be paying for you to, you know, do that. So.
All right. Well, we touched on some major topics that directly affects everyone. Taxes, are they going to go up? Are they going to go down? Abortion, gay marriage, all of these things that directly affect the U.S. citizen, you, I, all of us, that directly affect us all. Why do you feel like people aren't voting?
When you talk about, you know, my age group, the demographic that I find myself involved in.
And Dean is 18 years old, 19 years old, sorry.
Yes. The demographic that, you know, that I'm involved in. You know, a lot of us, and that's the reason for teen empowerment, a lot of us feel hopeless. A lot of us feel like, you know, our voice really isn't being heard anyways. There's nobody there to emphasize the importance of voting in their lives. You know, it's like, you know, and so it's kind of like when you say vote, it's just, it doesn't hold any weight a lot of times with them, so they can be very apathetic, you know, nonchalant about it. There's not going to be any, you know, outside pressure for them to vote. You know, in the most cases, there's not going to be any outside pressure for them to vote. I'm fortunate. My mom, you know, she stayed on me. You know, I want you to go. I want you to register to vote. You know, you got to vote. You got to vote. But I believe
Do you find that parents and loved ones are more effective than the random stranger on the street?
Most definitely. Most definitely. And you know, the lady from the women's voting, I can't remember what the exact name of it is, but she was saying about how they're trying to do social media, trying to use social media to influence people, so you can, you know, you can get on the social media site. Say somebody, they would have somebody like me getting on social media, reaching out to those who I know, those people who I already network with, those people who I already talk to, because that can be a more effective means of what is it? Trying to encourage people. Yeah, trying to encourage people to vote when, you know, they actually know you on a one-on-one basis versus somebody sitting on the street, you know, coming to talk to you. So.
And so, why do you feel like those in your age range, and you are 21, correct?
Yes, I am.
May be lacking in voting.
Well, I'm just gonna piggyback off of what he said and say that a lot of people do feel like they don't have a voice. They don't really feel like there are real reasons why they should do it. They feel like the state that they're in, the state of hopelessness, they feel like it's not gonna change because of who gets into office. They don't feel like a lot of things are going to change just because someone else comes into office. Also, I would like to say that a lot of people don't vote because a lot of people are not informed. They don't really know what's going on. A lot of people are not interested in what's going on. They don't understand how much these things directly affect them, because they look at the things that are going on in front of them rather than the things that are going on in higher levels that are affecting the things in front of them. So I feel like it's important that we do reach people that we know and get those people to be inspired to vote and to reach other people, because we cannot do this alone. We have to do this together, depending on who you want to vote for. Nothing will really come to pass if you don't go for it as a team. So individually it is a problem, but also it's one more thing I want to say, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But it's one more thing I wanted to say. There are a lot of things that are going on. Like, there are some voting laws that are being passed in like 12 states where people are going to have to present ID as opposed to how it's been in years before, where you could just go up to the poll and you can make your vote after you were registered. You will have to be required to have a driver's license or a non-driver's license or a military ID. It's not in New York State, but it's in other states. A lot of states that have high percentage of people who vote, because it's to keep certain people away from voting. So what I'm saying is that it's a very important thing that if you can, that you need to vote. Because if you want something to change in the country, if anyone wants something to change about your living state and about things getting better for you and what's best for you and your country and for the people around you and your communities, then it will be very important to vote. I just feel like a lot more people need to be informed.
All right, so if you're not voting, don't complain. My name is Jordan A. Smith. Again, this was episode 17.0. We are Talk Back for Teens. Thank you. If you want to join this discussion, please go to our website. That's talkback4teens4teens.com, and you can add a post, comment, or anything. Also, we are also on Twitter, so tweet with us. Thank you.
Yes.